Nowadays, saying I'm black and proud has become fashionable, a trend, a statement of confidence. But what if I told you that wasn't always the case? That being black and proud wasn't something to be celebrated, but something to be erased, silenced, and unlearned. For decades, the world taught black people to see their features as something to fix, their culture as something to suppress, and their identity as something to soften. But there were those who fought back, those who stood tall, those who reminded us that our blackness is not a burden, but it is power. This is a story of how a black-owned business in South Africa like Jabu Stone reclaimed that power. This is a story of struggle, resistance, and the rise of self-love.
Thinking about the struggle, I can see it clear. System got us tangled in the web of fear. Movements in the shadows, voices never heard. Unity's the answer, let our souls be stirred.
I'm in the back of the berry, don't you ever forget. We rise through the ashes, ain't no end yet. Change tried to bind us, but we broke free. In the name of truth, we'll make history.
Before anyone spoke of black empowerment, before movements took into shape, Marcus Garvey planted the seed. He told black people to see themselves as kings and queens, to build their own economies and to embrace their roots.
As proud of your race today as our fathers were in days of yore. We have beautiful history, and we shall create another in the future that will astonish.
The truth was hard to hear. Generations of black people were conditioned to reject their own beauty, to see their natural selves as something that needed to be fixed. The echoes of colonialism and slavery whispered lies that led to an industry built on self-hate. The birth of self-hate and the introduction of human relaxers. There was a time when being black wasn't just a skin color, it was a burden placed on our shoulders by the world that taught us to see ourselves as less than humans. It started small, a whisper in the back of our minds. Your hair is too rough. Your curls are unkempt. You'll never be taken seriously looking like that. They made us to believe that to be accepted, to be successful, to be beautiful, we had to erase the very thing that made us unique.
They're trying to shut the narrative. Every soul they want to capture, yet my skin tells a story full of fire.
Straight hair meant opportunity, natural hair meant rejection, but not everyone accepted this fate. Some refused to conform, some knew that blackness was not a flaw, but not everyone accepted this fate. Some refused to conform, some knew that blackness was not a flaw to be fixed, it was a crown to be worn.
Who taught you, please, who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man?
Changes which are to come can only come as a result of a program worked out by black people. And for black people to be able to work out a program, they need to defeat the one main element in politics which was working against them, and this was the psychological feeling of inferiority. So then in '68, we started forming what is now called SASO, the South African Students Organization, which was
Then came a man with a different vision, a man who saw beauty in what the world told black people to hide, a pioneer who didn't just style hair. He restored self-worth. His brand wasn't just about dreadlocks, it was about the movement, the declaration that natural hair is powerful, that black people don't need to conform to beauty standards. Jabu Stone, a pioneer of natural hair care. Jabu Stone is more than just a name in the world of hair care. He is a symbol of empowerment, self-acceptance, and African pride. Born and raised in South Africa, Jabu Stone saw beyond the mainstream ideals of beauty and dedicated his life to revolutionizing the natural hair industry in order to fit into the system that rejected them. Jabu saw this and knew something was deeply wrong. Now, Steve Biko had taught him that the true freedom began in the mind. This is a code to break the chains of the oppression. Black people had to embrace their identity, their culture, their heritage. This was not just about politics. It was about self-worth, self-awareness.
No matter the storm, we stand unbound. Textures and curves, the story unfolds. Embrace the beauty, let the truth be told. In the rhythm of life, we'll dance away. Our heritage shines, guiding our way.
A vision rooted in identity. In the early 1990s, Jabu Stone recognized a deep-seated issue within the African community: the perception that natural hair was unprofessional, unkempt, and undesirable at the time when many Black South Africans were still struggling to embrace their identity. Post-apartheid. At a time when many Black South Africans were still struggling to embrace their identity post-apartheid, he saw an opportunity to change the narrative. He believed that African hair, in its own form, was a statement of cultural heritage, beauty, and pride. The birth of Jabu Stone Natural Hair Care. Committed to create a solution, Jabu Stone launched his own hair care brand, Jabu Stone Natural Hair Care, which specialized in products specifically designed to nourish and maintain natural hair. He introduced unique formulas made from natural ingredients, organic ingredients, that promoted healthy hair growth, moisture retention, and the art of dreadlocking without damaging chemicals. His products came changing the game, education and awareness. Beyond selling products, Jabu Stone took it upon himself to educate people on natural hair maintenance and care. Established salons, trained hairstylists, ensuring that established proper techniques and treatments were being used. This is the same frame that Legends Barbershop is using exactly. Establishing salons, branching out, training hairstylists, and ensuring proper techniques, unique techniques are being used. His advocacy helped dismantle long-standing stigmas around natural African hair and inspired many to embrace their roots, literally and figuratively. A cultural movement. Jabu Stone's impact went beyond business. He started a cultural movement. Through interviews, seminars, public engagements, he preached self-love, self-confidence, and
You know, my observation is that most Black people are consumers. I always say that if I come in the morning to your house, without announcing, I come and say, hi, what the first thing you're going to do? You're going to brush your teeth. And who has developed that toothpaste? It's somebody else. And we are consumers and we are proud of it and we always flaunt that. You see most of us driving fancy cars and we flaunt that. But we don't produce any of those things. So it's about time that we should look at that. Now, the other thing that I've observed is the wealth creation. It's a challenge for us to create the wealth. Because once you create wealth, you need to leave the wealth to the next generation. And we don't do that. So those are the things that we need to focus as this generation, to focus on that for the next generation. So that is why I'm saying the wealth needs to be sustained and we need to create it all the time and give those young people lessons for that. Now, the other thing that I've observed, those who are working, they're always on the comfort zone. For them to move from the workplace to start their own business is always a challenge. They're scared. They always think of their salaries, they think of their monthly expenses and all those things. And that stops the progress. So that is why I'm saying, please get out of that comfort zone. If you are working, you must remember, I always say that if you're hired, you will be fired. That happens. That is the truth. Now, the other thing is we're scared of taking those risks. And we also can't take rejection. Now, when you start a business,
the rejection of harmful beauty standards imposed by colonial influences. His philosophy was simple. African hair should be celebrated, not altered to fit Western ideals. Today, Jabu Stone Brands remains a powerhouse in the natural hair care. With its products reaching international markets, his influence has shaped a new generation of Africans who proudly wear their natural hair without fear or shame. Through persistence and unwavering belief in the African beauty identity, Jabu Stone didn't just build a hair care empire. He helped spark a movement of self-acceptance and continues to thrive. His story stands as a testament to the power of vision, resilience, and cultural pride. Jabu Stone is not just a businessman. He's a revolutionary force in the African beauty and identity. The legacy of Black pride. We were told that our blackness was a burden, that our hair was unkept, our features too bold, our voices too loud. They tried to convince us that to be worthy, we had to change. But the truth is, we were never the problem. The problem was a world that feared our power. A world that knew that if we ever embraced who we truly are, we would be unstoppable. And so we fought back, not with weapons, but with pride. With afros that stood tall like crowns, with afros that stood tall like crowns, with locks that defied gravity, with movements that said, we will not shrink ourselves for your comfort. Today, saying I am black and proud is fashionable. But make no mistake, this was not given to us. It was fought for, it was earned, it was sacrificed by those who came before us. But the journey is not over. But we will never change our truth. Because being black was never something to fix. It was something to celebrate. Stay in shape, stay in power, my brothers and sisters.
In every tear, the legacy survives and the spirit's drawn near. I'm the voice of the unheard, rising from the ashes, breaking the chains. I won't be held as ashes.